Hello. This is Dave Begg. He's chairman of something called the UK Commission for Integrated Transport, and he reckons there are too many cars on the roads. I can see what he means. Here we are, 40 miles from London, the busiest, biggest city in Europe, and it's packed solid. Unfortunately, however, it's been a bad year for Dave and his mates. The government abandoned its 10-year plan to get us all on the bus. One of the train operators lost its licence, and the car industry, that went berserk. Put simply, 2003 has been the best, most exciting year for new cars in the history of the automobile. Every week, another amazing new shape came along and another amazing new engine. 25 years ago, 400 brake horsepower was enough to give you the Formula One World Championship. Now 400 brake horsepower isn't enough to get you out of your garage. We're up past 500, on our way to 1,000. So, my mission this year is simple but hugely good fun. I've got to find the most fun car from the most fun year in the history of motoring. My favourite new car of the year was the Rolls Royce Phantom. Obviously, the sheer size of the thing is as impressive as the £250,000 price tag. And you can't help but like the Rolls Royce wheel hubs, which remain static. But the best thing about the Phantom is the simplicity. This gear lever, for instance, allows me to go forwards and backwards, and that's it. There's no flappy paddle rubbish here. There's more too. The radio has one knob. And look at that clock. Digital? I don't think so. Obviously, it does have toys. I mean, if you push this here, the clock swivels round in a James Bond fashion to reveal a computer screen, which is then controlled by this BMW iDrive system. And then in here, you've got the phone, and in here there's all the minor controls, and in here you've got the stuff for the seats and the door mirrors, and then in the back of my seats you get the TV screens. The point is, though, that Rolls-Royce hasn't tried to blind us with technology. They're not hiding a substandard product behind a wall of buttons and screens. This is just top-notch engineering, plain and simple. It's steak and chips and easy on the sauce. It's pretty fast too, with a 6.7 litre V12 engine. It'll do 0 to 60 in 5.7 seconds. And it'll keep on whispering all the way to 150. And when I say whispering, I'm now doing 60 miles an hour. According to the dial there, 90% of the engine's power is still in reserve. And I can hear almost nothing. But though this may very well be one of the best cars ever made, and it's certainly my favourite from 2003, it certainly doesn't cut the mustard on this video. The Phantom may be wonderful for driving to the test track, but once you get here, it falls to pieces.
Watching this heave itself round here is a bit like watching Queen Victoria do the 400 metres hurdles. Technically possible, but a bit embarrassing.
So let's leave the old girl, shall we, and have a look at something which is a little bit cheaper. Here it comes now. This is the new Toyota Avensis. Open the door. It's the model that replaces the Carina and is made at the company's plant in Derby. Very practical, hugely spacious, very reliable too, and with the Euro NCAP 5-star rating, terrifically safe as well. And it's not alone, because we also have the new Nissan Primera, the new Vauxhall Vectra, and the slightly taller Ford Fusion. Now, all these cars are perfect for 1950s Britain. But not anymore, because the best thing about 2003 was the sudden explosion of cheap cars that are fun.
The first to go from this list is the Beetle. It's a Golf in a Hitler suit. The roof is ridiculous, it has the same top speed as mud, it's far too expensive, and it's made in Mexico, where their idea of top gear comes in a syringe. The Citroën Pluriel has to go too. It may be jolly clever being 5 cars in one, but personally speaking, I'd rather have one good car than 5 average ones, thanks very much.
This, the Ford street car, is much better, but there's a problem, because it's surrounded by an invisible force field designed to keep a certain type of person out. Men.
In order to drive this car, you have to be a girl. I'm told it has sharp handling and zingy performance. I'm told it rides well and that the roof is easy to fold. But a car cannot be fun if half the world can't even get into it.
Ford themselves say that 80% of street car buyers will be women. So what will the other 20% be? Whatever, this section of the video has come down now to a two-cornered fight between the Mini Cooper S Works and the Smart Roadster.
On the face of it, this has to win. It looks fantastic, funky and frothy without being too light in its Dunlops, if you see what I mean.
Obviously, it's not that fast. I mean, yes, the engine does have a turbocharger, but it's only 700 cc's, and really, that's the kind of thing you put in a motorised pencil sharpener. 0 to 60 takes 10.9 seconds, which is about 3 weeks, and the top speed is 109. Ooh. I hate the gearbox as well. You select 4th and wait, and there it is, and then you select 3rd and come on, there we go. God, it's slow. Of all the semi-automatic gearboxes, this is by far the worst, but it takes more than some slow-mo cogs and a minuscule engine to spoil the fun. It's just such a very well-balanced car. It feels absolutely alive. Flick it in one way, flick it round the other. Feel that grip's fantastic. You do have to be a little bit wary of the fact that it is mid-engine, you know, like a Ferrari. And then if you're not quick, it will bite your hand off. Everybody should try their hands at driving something this light. Weight just kills all the fun, really, in modern motoring, and this just weighs nothing. I just love it.
And I love the roof even more.
See, when you've finished clowning around in the sunshine, you take the roof bars and then they clip in like that on that side, and then you clip this one in by putting the prongs in there like that, pull the handle down, and that's in. And then you simply push a button and the rest of the roof slides electrically out of its little cubby hole in the boot. Clever, eh? At £14,000, the Smart is far from being cheap, but it is fun.
The question is, though, is it more fun than this?
I've always loved the Mini, the old Cooper particularly, but this new one, I love it even more. I know it's as English as a Bratwurst, but it's this interior ambience, the big speedometer, the funky switches and pedals that are perfectly arranged to do heel and toe gear changes. Absolutely brilliant. Woo! Now, there are lots of tuning kits available for the new Mini. I've driven the Hartger version, fantastic, but this one is from Cooper themselves, and it has the full backing and support from BMW. 0 to 60 takes 6.7 seconds, the top speed is 140, and best of all, you can feel the extra power, you can revel in the extra grunt, and you can bathe in the noise.
The thing is, though, does this extra power and oomph upset the standard chassis?
Let's turn the traction control off, shall we, and find out. Okay, medium speed, I've just got a very neutral feel. Still got that bounce that you get in the standard Cooper that you used to get in the old Mini as well. Very, very solid under braking, bit of understeer through a steady corner like that. And now full power going out. And do you know something amazing? There's absolutely no torque steer. None at all. 200 brake horsepower through the front wheels, and they're coping easily. Just as much fun as a normal Mini. But with all this extra power, what more could you possibly want?
The only drawback is the price. It's £3,000 more than the Cooper S, making it nearly 18 grand. It's worth it, though. All the other cars we looked at in this section can put the wind in your hair, but the Mini will put the biggest smile on your face.
Now that was the easy part, choosing the most fun small car. But there are 6 more categories to go, starting with the most fun road car that you can use on a track.
These are the contenders: the Vauxhall VX220 Turbo, the TVR T350C, and the Lotus Elise. For years, this sector of the market has been dominated by the Elise, and rightly so. It's as well furnished as a sauna, which makes it light and nimble. It's wonderful. But now, there's a new version.
Now, you may be surprised to find that this comes from the same people who do this, the Vectra, Vauxhall. But don't be put off, because this little VX220 here is made in the same factory as the Lotus Elise, by the same people, using basically the same parts.
As a result, you might expect it to be the same as the Elise, but it isn't. It's better. Look at the way the Lotus goes through this corner. It's all safe and steady understeer. Now look at the Vauxhall. It's the back that's letting go. So it handles better than the Lotus and it goes better too. The Elise may now be available with all sorts of tweaked motors, but they're all more expensive than this, and none is quite so powerful.
It has a turbocharged 2-litre engine, and that means 200 brake horsepower. And that in turn, because it weighs virtually nothing, means 0 to 60 in 4 seconds. 4 seconds! Nothing! No other mainstream car on earth for this kind of money even gets close. It's still as nimble as you'd hope, but there's a muscularity to the engine that you just don't expect. If I may liken the Elise to a wasp, this is a hornet.
It's an epic track day car, but it works well on an everyday basis as well. And it's a convertible, and the word Vauxhall doesn't appear on it anywhere.
This is wonderful, but I wonder, is it a bit of a lightweight compared to my next contender?
Every year I make one of these videos, and every year TVR have a new car to offer us. I suppose there's nothing else to do in Blackpool. This year it's the new T350C, but since that makes it sound like a toaster, I shall call it the Valhalla. On the face of it, it looks like every other TVR. A 3.6-litre 24-valve straight-six engine at the front, rear drive, 2 seats, and that's about it. No airbag, no ABS, no electric drive-by-wire throttle with skyhook traction control.
And as you can probably see from the thin veneer of sweat on my brow, there's no aircon either. Ugh.
In essence, it's got the same basic chassis as the Tamora, which has the same basic architecture as the Tuscan, which is basically the same as the Acropolis.
However, this one is different. It feels tighter and more together than any TVR I've ever driven. And as a result, its handling is epic. Whoa! You get a whiff of understeer to let you know that you're annoying it, and then a great glob of oversteer when you overstep the mark.
A mark that's very easy to overstep. But when you spin, you just keep the hammer down, and all is well with the world again.
Sorry.
But of course, the best thing about this TVR is the same thing that makes all TVRs so wonderful. The noise.
In a shouting competition, TVRs have always been way out in front. I miss the old V8s with the soundtrack of America that you used to get, but these racing straight sixes can still do a pretty good Tom Jones impersonation. It's a nice little group, this, and I must single out the Valhalla here. It's easily the best TVR I've ever driven. But sometimes it can just be a little bit scary. And that's where the VX220 comes in, because this manages to be fun without being frightening. It creates a grin so enormous it splits your face clean in half. This is my winner.
Now it's time to see what's best from the world of the GT car. We start with a £110,000 Bentley Continental GT, the first new Bentley since VW took control. And this is where things start to get serious.
Very serious. Whirring away in front of me now is a 6-litre W12 engine with 2 turbochargers. And the result of that is 550 brake horsepower, which is 50 more than you get from a Ferrari 575.
The result is 0 to 60 in 5.4 seconds and a top speed of 198.
For years, Bentleys have just been Rolls Royces without the flying lady. But not anymore.
Watch this.
Have you ever seen a Rolls Royce look as small as that?
Westminster Abbey never stood a chance. Not against this.
Bentley then seems to have gone back to its roots. You have to remember that back in the 20s, they were the Ferrari of their day. This heavyweight, supercharged blower Bentley, for instance, could do 110 miles an hour. Ettore Bugatti described it as the fastest lorry in the world.
This is certainly no lightweight either. It needs that colossal force-fed engine because it weighs 2.4 tons, almost the same as a Range Rover. So what we've got here is half-thundering sports car with a bit of Rolls DNA. What we've got here is Blenheim Palace going sideways.
Just look at this interior. Quite a few of the knobs and dials have come from the Volkswagen Phantom, along with quite a lot of the engineering, like the engine, for instance, and the four-wheel drive system, and bits of the floor. But despite that, there's a sense of absolute luxury in here.
And absolute togetherness. The four-wheel drive system means it's not at all gung-ho. It feels quiet and civilised and grown up, and as a result, it's all a bit underwhelming. Not as special as you might imagine for £110,000.
The Continental has had quite a lot of stake in the specialist motoring press, and I think I know why. It's because we can all remember the Enage. It's still being made, you know, that huge battleship of a thing, making smoke and shredding its tyres. Thing is, though, that was a bad car that was exciting. This is a good car that isn't. Happily, from the point of view of this video, the Bentley Continental wasn't the only GT car to stick its nose over the parapet in 2003.
Well, obviously, this is a brilliant car. Perfect, wonderful, inspired, and mine. But how does it compare to the Bentley? Well, if you take the limiter off, the enormous 5.5-litre, 500 brake horsepower supercharged V8 will push it past 200, so it's even faster. It's even more fun in the corners too, because you don't have four-wheel drive making a mess of everything. And while the Bentley is beautiful, let's be honest, this is no guinea fowl.
Then you've got the noise. This thing can whisper its way along, just like the Bentley. The difference is that when you put your foot down in an AMG SL, all hell breaks loose. That is the sound of a Messerschmitt ME109. It's about 90% of the reason I bought this thing. The noise.
And the way it stops when you don't want it to be there.
Then there are the buttons. Let me talk you through just a selection of them. This one engages the sport suspension. This one turns the interior burglar alarm off. This one folds the door mirrors in. That one does something else with the burglar alarm, no idea what. This one raises the car up if you need to go through a little puddle, and then push it again to go through a deeper one. This one turns the traction control off. This one's good. It's for the radar-guided cruise control. Now, the idea is that you set a speed, it goes up to a car in front, maintains a set distance behind that car, which you choose on this, and then when it pulls out of your way, you accelerate past it. You don't have to touch anything. Obviously, this changes the gearbox from manual to automatic. And this one on top of the gear lever, well, that starts the engine. Here we have the television, the telephone control unit, and all of this is controlled by voice activation along with the satellite navigation. You just pull this lever, dial name.
The name, please.
Home.
Home. Dialing.
And it rings home, like so. And we turn it off. Over here, obviously, we have the electric seat controls and the button which either heats the seats or sends air-conditioned air through the little holes in them and into your back. Here on the steering wheel, we control the onboard computer, and that even allows me to change how long, for instance, I want the rear number plate light to stay on after I get home at night. It's very thoughtful.
And best of all, I can turn the GT car into a full-blooded convertible. So, the Mercedes is a stunning all-rounder, better than the Bentley even. But when it comes to out-and-out fun in this sector, you can do better. First up, the Aston Martin DB7.
Oh dear. Where do we start with this interior, this sea of brown? I mean, do we begin with the Ford Fiesta electric window switches? Or maybe the knobs for the heater, which appear to have been taken from a 1940s fan heater? Or what about the clock? You wouldn't pay $1.99 for that on a market stall. Then there's the satellite navigation system, which is the most complicated sat-nav system in the world, and the wrongest. Always wants to take you to Bedford. Even if you want to go to Manchester, it wants to go to Bedford. That's all it knows. You want to go somewhere? Sure, I'll take you to Bedford. And you need to be careful not to inadvertently press the button which disengages the traction control, because the light warning you that you've done that is here, just behind the steering wheel, where you can't see it. And what about the space? Or rather, what about the lack of space? There isn't any. Look, no headroom, have to drive like a hunchback. Seats are too high because the computer that controls the engine is underneath them. This is all too close, that's too close. Speaking of which, watch this. Close the center console, and the ashtray opens. Ugh. I mean, it is hopeless. Hopeless.
But then this is a 10-year-old car on a 30-year-old XJS chassis. Except it isn't. What it is the new GT, the last of the DB7s. So it has the 435 brake horsepower 6-litre V12, the new 6-speed box, and a top speed of 185. Underneath, they've fiddled with the bushes and altered the springs, and God, I wish they'd done it earlier, because this is the car the DB7 always should have been.
Think of it then as the best of both worlds. An old house with the character, but with modern plumbing.
And while you're thinking about that, I'll open the taps a little bit.
The extraordinary thing about this car is that because it's soft and full of leather, you don't expect it to be any good at all when the going gets smoky. But it is.
It's all grown up, but unlike the Bentley, it will pull on its dancing shoes.
doesn't have as much grip as the Bentley, but the people who want grip are mountaineers. What I want are oversteers. And on that front, this is king of the hill, and then you ride on a wall of noise into the next bend and the next bout of tail happiness. There it goes, whoops, and here it comes again. Ready? So when you drive this sort of car, you understand what people are on about when they talk about steering with the throttle, because you don't really need the wheel at all. You just sort of use that to get you into the corner and then press the loud pedal to sort of make the tail slide more or less. It's like a constantly happy dog, endlessly wagging its tail.
It's nowhere near as well engineered as the Bentley or the Mercedes, but for a laugh, it's up there with Ricky Gervais's Funny Bone. This, on the other hand, isn't funny at all. It is, of course, yet another 911, yet another arse-engined German slot car. You've got the Carrera 2 with no turbo, the Carrera 4 with no turbo and four-wheel drive, then you've got the C4S, which looks like a turbo that has no turbo, and the turbo with a turbo. Then there's the GT2, which costs more than a turbo, has twin turbos but no four-wheel drive, and now there's this, the GT3, which doesn't have a turbo or four-wheel drive. Clear?
What this is a Carrera 2 that's been stripped out and pared down. So I've got no traction control, no air conditioning, and instead of back seats, an enormous roll bar. Think of it then as a Porsche that's been on the Atkins diet.
Porsche has been stripping out cars for years with mixed results. Some were terrible, some were even worse. With this, though, they've got it absolutely right.
The old stripped out cars felt too like racers. They were hard and unforgiving and brutal, and that made them scary. This one, though, is quiet and comfortable, and that makes me relaxed.
And because I'm relaxed, I can do this.
In the past, you had to ask yourself a question before going mad with a 911. Do you feel lucky, punk? Well, do you? Not anymore, though.
Even I'm happy to take it to the limit, and sometimes a little bit beyond.
Oh, this has to be one of the best chassis I have ever experienced. And the brakes are unbelievable. I thought the turbo was as good as 911s were ever going to get. But this doesn't have the lag that you get with the turbo, and it doesn't have the understeer that the four-wheel drive system gives you. This is just... well, it's amazing. You've got the engine pressing down on the back, giving you tons of traction, which you can brake easily with a bit of power.
If you like 911s, you're going to love this. And if you don't like 911s, you're going to be amazed.
I've never liked 911s, mainly because of their reputation. It was like going out for a drink with a murderer. Maybe a nice chap, but who knows, at any moment he may lean over and stab you in the forehead. And that's why I liked the turbo, because it was manacled with a four-wheel drive system. It was a nice chap and it wasn't going to kill you. Perfect. But this, the manacles are off, and I still like it. I still don't think it's going to kill me. This is properly amazing, properly good.
And here's yet another German car, the Lamborghini Gallardo. And don't write in, Lambo's owned by Audi now.
You can tell it's a German car, of course, because look what you get on the driver's seat. A towel.
Still, it was the Germans who made the Murcielago so good, and this, it must be said, is even better. What you get for your £125,000 is a car roughly the size of a Ferrari 360. But whereas the Ferrari has to make do with a poxy V8, this wades into battle with a 5-litre V10. With 500 brake horsepower and a top speed of 190, it's faster than the Ferrari too.
And whereas the Ferrari powers just the rear wheels, this drives all four, which is ideal on a day like today.
It's better than the 360 in the Benz too. That's awfully twitchy when you get near the limit, whereas this feels more solid, more planted, more controllable.
Don't think, however, it's a clean sweep for the Lamborghini. You see, when you step into a Ferrari, there's a huge sense of occasion. It's like being invited round by the Queen to the palace. In this, it's like being invited round by your best mate to his house. It's like stepping into an Audi. Oh, I know they fitted this open gate gear lever arrangement, but they're not fooling anyone. I know where that stereo came from, and that air conditioning control panel, and the trip computer.
And what's more, at 125,000, it's 25,000 more than a 360.
But of course, we're not bothered about value for money here, or interior trim, or how much grip you've got. What we want to know is, how much fun can you have with it? Talented, but in a very serious Germanic way. There's none of the happy-go-luckiness that you get from the Porsche and the Aston Martin. And what's more, all of the intimidation that you used to get from old Lamborghinis is gone. All feels rather, dunno, grown up.
What's more, this verges on being a supercar, and quite apart from the sheer unpracticality of such a thing, it's just not cool to rock up in a yellow Lambo. You can have all the fun in the world with it, but it'll be spoiled if someone at the lights calls you a flash git.
So there we are, all the GT cars, the Grand Tourers, a lovely smooth ointment. But unfortunately, there's a fly in it.
I've always been a fan of the Noble. The rear-end styling's a bit wonky and it only has a Ford Mondeo engine, but the handling has always been sublime.
The old 2.5-litre model never really understood the word understeer. It would grip and then grip some more, and then the back would swing out. It really wasn't a car for the front-wheel drive generation.
But this is not the 2.5-litre model. This is the new £51,000 six-speed M12 3R with the Ford 3-litre and 2 turbos. And that means a whopping 352 brake horsepower. 0 to 60 takes 4.1 seconds and the top speed is 167. So it goes like a racer and it sounds like one too. But has the extra oomph upset the balance?
A bit, yes. In the old car, you could fling it into any corner at any speed and then sort the mess out. But with this one, if you try that, you're going to wind up going round in a cloud of your own tyre smoke.
However, it doesn't take you long to work a new route round the problem.
What you do is go into the corner at less than light speed and then give it some beans. And then the old noble magic is back. Fantastic! And don't think this is just another kit car from just another chancer. It's not only fast and wonderful to drive, but it's beautifully built and trimmed in leather. Nice. There's a big chunk of me, most of my torso and some of my left leg, that wants to make this the best GT car here. I know it's crept over £50,000 now, and I know that the 3-litre engine has made it just a little bit trickier at the limit, but it is still wonderful. The trouble is, it's not quite as wonderful as the Porsche and the Aston Martin.
These then are the two winners. But deciding which one takes the ultimate crown is hard. In a straight line, the Porsche is faster. I don't care though. The Porsche may be wonderful, but it suffers from the Lambo syndrome of being too flash. The Aston just isn't. It manages to be up there without being a stripped-out racer. It's an animal in a butler suit. And that's just another reason why it's my winner.
So, hot hatchbacks. I must admit, I've always loved them. You get a big boot, you get split folding rear seats, and because the panels all come from a standard run-of-the-mill model, they're cheap and easy to mend. And then up at the front, you get the big engine. So, you get two cars for the price of one, a pocket rocket. Trouble is, hot hatches were pretty much killed off 10 years ago by sky-high insurance premiums. Now, though, they're coming back.
Let's start with the Ford Focus RS. Its 2-litre turbo motor develops 212 brake horsepower, so they've fitted a clever front diff to put that power on the road. Then there's the Golf R32. This one's 3.2-litre V6 churns out 237 brake horsepower, so to harness that, there's a four-wheel drive system. Now we have the Alfa 147 GTA with a massive 250 brake horsepower. So what puts that on the road? Four-wheel drive? Clever diff? No, nothing. Italians, eh? You've gotta love them.
Have you ever taken a small dog for a walk? I have. And that's what it's like when you drive this. The slightest twitch of your foot, even your toenail growing, is enough to cause it to pull at the lead and whoa. And then you get to a corner and it isn't so much driving round, it's just sort of hanging on while it decides where to go. Then when you come out of the corner, you have a little bit of torque steer, you have to drag the wheel back to stop it being squirmed this way and that, and occasionally you get a little message saying that the oil pressure's low, and then a moment later when you look again it's gone and it's going, the oil pressure's fine. I don't know what I'm talking about. Healthy as anything. I didn't do that. It just suddenly decided to go right. I don't know why they bother fitting a wheel.
The Alfa then is the third child, a bit mad, in a bid to be noticed. The Ford is fast, beyond no doubt, and it has grip beyond the ken of mortal man. On a track, it's miles faster than even a Subaru or an Evo. But on a normal road, the torque steer verges on being dangerous, so, see ya, Gary. The Golf has even more power, and in a straight line at least, is even faster than the Ford. Has four-wheel drive too, and is very sensible, very adult.
So, with the Essex boy gone, we're left with a choice of Golf or Alpha. And that's a bit like the choice faced by Sven Goran Eriksson, the cool Nordic weather girl, or the Nancy Delolio woman with the plunging red neckline.
The Alpha is a ludicrous car. The traction control must be the most overworked electronic device since they allowed calculators in school exams. But if you turn it off, you'll be through a set of tyres in half a day flat. The chassis is not that good either. It's too loose and the steering's too light. This is a car you drive with gritted teeth. However, despite all the pitfalls and all the problems, this is the one I'd have. Immense power, wonderful looks, great performance, and as a result, the most fun you can have in a hatch. Now, there are many uses for four-wheel drive, but what if your four-wheel drive car's an overfinished Range Rover? Well, you could use it to run over a Toyota Avensis, but that seems a bit excessive.
I suppose you could use it to tow a caravan, but what if the caravan were to be upside down? Well, let's find out. 50 miles an hour. Okay, let's stick it into a bend. See what the handling's like with a bit of caravan on the back. It's swinging round a bit. Ooh, we got a bit of a tank slapper coming here. Why people don't caravan like this normally, I have no idea, because it gives other road users so much more to look at and enjoy. Oh, it might shake your wardrobe up a bit, I admit, but... Right, now I'm going for a speed run. Caravanners, take note. This is the new low rider caravan. So, yet another use for four-wheel drive. And, I haven't finished yet.
This is the new Subaru Impreza Turbo. It's still far from being a pretty car, but at least it doesn't look like the old one, which looked like someone had shoved a stick up its backside.
It's the same basic recipe as before, adaptable four-wheel drive and a turbocharged intercooled 2-litre engine. But now it's all rather more beefy.
And this isn't the standard car. This is the ProDrive STi version, which costs £3,000 more. For that, you get a radically uprated engine to give 305 brake horsepower, front and rear short-track differentials, better cooling, and better high-speed stability.
It's still an understeery little so-and-so, but with a bit of effort and a small Scandinavian flick, like so, you can still get it to play ball.
So the Subaru has been hardened up, and as a result, it's met its deadly Mitsubishi rival, coming the other way. The last Evo, the 7, had 4 doors and a boot, in the same way that a Thai kickboxer has 2 arms and a nose. Behind the scenes, though, it was a hard-edged, razor-sharp, no-compromise racer. With V8, they've planed away a few of the rough edges, softened it up a bit, and added even more techno. You get electronically controlled 4-wheel drive, electronic brake distribution, and a cup holder.
Don't think the rounded edges have blunted the fun of this car, though, because where the Subaru understeers, this thing absolutely flies. thing you have to remember about an Evo, though, is that to get the best out of it, you have to go beyond the line where bravery becomes insanity. Shall I turn into this hairpin bend at 100 miles an hour? Why not? What's going to happen? Nothing. It's a bit like the Aston Martin in that respect. I mean, obviously it's not as luxurious. It's like sitting in a bin liner, in fact. But what I'm trying to say is no matter how sideways you get this car, and you can get it very sideways indeed, there's always hope that you can get it back. There's always some hope. Choosing between a Subaru and an Evo has never been easy, but it became even harder in 2003 because they were joined by a third contender. That. You might be wondering what this German interloper is doing sticking its neck into what's usually a Japanese civil war. Well, let's stick it in a drag race and find out what happens. Right. Let's see how my ruthlessly efficient German V8 deals with these 2-litre turbos. That's the Subaru dispensed with. No, I'm not going to catch the Mitsubishi, damn it. That's what it's doing here. It may be a heavyweight, but thanks to 339 brake horsepower and a motor that needs to be physically restrained when it hits 155, it can still mix it with the established stars. And there's more. It was Audi who brought four-wheel drive to rallying and turned the sport on its head. The only reason cars like the Impreza and Evo exist is because of Audi. So don't be fooled, Grandad knows a thing or two about grip and go. Climbing into this after a spell in the other two is like climbing into a house after a week in an allotment shed. But beneath the quiet exterior beats a heart made entirely out of nails. It has a four-wheel drive system that's nowhere near as techy as the one you get in an Evo, but it works. Like pretty well all Audis actually, you get a rather detached ride and woolly steering, but when you get beyond this stuff, the stuff that you actually interface with, as it were, there's no doubt at all that the chassis is right up there with the best of them. This was the surprise of 2003. Round a track, it's just so damn fast. It's hard to see how, really. I mean, it's so refined that you have no real sense as you thunder along that you're ripping the tarmac to pieces and hoovering up small children. Think of it as a rugby player in ballet shoes. So, which is the best of this lot? Well, if I wanted a car for every day, it'd be the Audi, easily, and then the Subaru, and then the Mitsubishi. But we're not talking about vacuum cleaners here. We're talking about fun, with a capital E. So it'd be that one, by a mile. Now, speaking as someone who once sold a Volkswagen Scirocco to buy an Alfa Romeo GTV and then sold that to buy a Honda CRX, it's obvious that I like coupes. Yeah, sure, I know that you pay more money and get less space, but if you've got your common sense hat on, turn this off, go do some knitting. The fact is that in a world of screeching tyres, coupes look good. And that's good enough. This is the Chrysler Crossfire. It's basically a German Mercedes SLK that's been covered in a body that was designed by a Brit. A car America can be proud of then. The automatic version is terrible, the manual is better, but in this company, on this video, it's not good enough. So what about the Nissan 350Z, which is better looking? But I hated it on the road. It was too heavy and too tiring.
Mind you, while we're on the subject of cars I hated, let's diverge a bit from the coupe theme and look at the BMW Z4. Now you may be thinking, what's wrong with it? That looks balanced and good enough to me.
And you'd be right, because when the valves are bouncing through the bonnet and the tyres are howling, the Z4 is a sensation. Honestly, when you're on the raggedy edge in this thing, the handling is absolutely sublime. But unfortunately, the fun is spoiled by everything else. The fuel tank, for instance, 55 litres. That's the same size as a wine bottle. And when you're down to the last quarter, you get fuel starvation problems under hard acceleration. Then there's the ride, which is atrocious. On the last version I drove, the electric hood broke, then you've got the cup holders, which are too big for a can, so every time you go around a corner you get a sticky knee. I don't like the ruched leather, too American, too designed for Houston dentists. And it all feels far too flimsy for what is a £31,000 car. And it's not that fast.
On top of all this, it doesn't look very nice. So let's get rid of it and get back to the world of the coupe. This is my choice, the Mazda RX-8.
Sort of. This new Mazda RX-8 certainly looks like a two-door fastback. Swooping front, sloping rear, and when you open the door here, the red and black interior shouts, "I am a coupe." But check this out. The door from a fridge freezer, and in the back, 2 seats. And then round here we find that it has a proper, decent-sized boot. So, don't be fooled by appearances, because what we have here actually is a four-door saloon.
Now, the Nissan has a 3.5-litre engine and the Chrysler a 3.2. This has a 1.3, but it's a Wankel, and that makes a difference.
It's just so smooth. It's smoother than a pint of Baileys being poured onto a freshly waxed bikini line. It's so smooth that when you get near the top of the rev range, which is 9,000 RPM, a little buzzer sounds, you hear? To tell you that a gear change might be in order if you don't want to blow the engine to pieces. When you get past 7,000 RPM, it's as though all 240 bhps come at you at once. The thing just explodes forward. There's a nothing now, nothing, 5.5, up to 6, 6.5. Now we're starting to go. Now we're really, really starting to go. 112, 113, 115, into the power zone. It's rocketing up, 125, 140. That's quick. Let's see how it handles. Understeer there on a slow-speed corner, translating nicely to oversteer. That felt pretty good, I have to be honest. You know, I thought that Z4, the BMW, was about as good as we were going to get in terms of handling on this video, but I'm not certain we haven't found a better one here. I wouldn't mind, but the ride's so good. You don't expect to be able to balance a car that's this kind of soft. This is fantastic.
This is easily my favourite car in this section. Fast, good-looking, brilliant to drive, and though it doesn't really matter, practical. And that means there's only one category left: the supercar.
Obviously, this year saw the launch of the Ferrari Enzo, but since they've only made 399 of them and they've all been sold, where's the fun in that?
Happily, you can have one of these. The most astonishing thing about this car is not how it looks, though it does look like a helicopter gunship attack on Blackpool Pleasure Beach. It isn't the sound either.
And nor is it the fact that if you buy one of these things, you get a free membership of the RAC worth £75.
And nor is it the handling. Of all the cars I've driven in this video, the easiest to drive fast is the Mazda RX-8, then the BMW Z4, and then this, which is incredible, that a big, powerful, startling car like this becomes a puppy dog when things go hypersonic.
The most amazing thing about the Zonda is the quality. At first you notice the style, the way the air vents come out like periscopes and the aluminium and the carbon fibre, but then when you've been in here for a little while you think, hang on a minute, there are no squeaks or rattles at all. That's odd for a sort of handmade Italian supercar. And it's especially odd because it doesn't squeak or rattle even if you do this. Traction control off, a little bit of lock, and here we go. I am such a child. I'm 43 years old, but I have the mental age of a 9-year-old.
So it dances like Darcy Bustle. But what makes it go? Well, there you are, a 7.3-litre AMG Mercedes power plant with 555 brake horsepower.
All jolly lovely, but what I want to know at this point is how the Zonda compares to that. The Koenigsegg.
This makes do with a 4.6-litre V8, which started out in life as a Ford racing block. But it was then tuned in Italy and Sweden to produce 655 brake horsepower.
When I first drove this car, it was heavy and difficult and recalcitrant. It was a bit of a pig, but since then it's been absolutely transformed. Now the brakes are sharp, the turning's unbelievable, you got no understeer to worry about. And what's more, the backs just look coming round. I'm not being a wetty about this. I'm driving round our course exactly the same speed as I've driven, well, faster than I've driven in any other car. But it's just gripping and gripping. Now, look at the feel those brakes. The steering's light and easy. That's it, tiny little twitch, that's all you've ever got to worry about. When you drive this, you don't care about quality or style or aluminium fixtures and fittings. You just want to have more speed, more power, more grip. Oh, yes. Oh, brutal. Yes. You still get a bit hot.
This is my new favourite supercar. It's what the game is all about. Raw, undiluted excitement. And it keeps on getting better. Right, now we're left with the Magnificent Seven. The 7 most fun cars from the most fun year in the history of motoring. And now, we got to find a winner. Well, it's not the Koenigsegg. The fact of the matter is that, like all supercars, its nose is too low to the ground, it's too wide, and there's too much power. And that makes it too intimidating. I love a supercar, but they're not really built for the real world. The BO 427 and the Scottish Highlands. They're actually built for Rod Stewart. Pity. It's not the Aston either. It's a great car, and for monstrous power slides, you can't do better. But again, you can't power slide on the A57 just outside Worksop, so I think not. Obviously, it isn't the Alfa either. Its alphaness doesn't compensate for its rubbishness. And nor is it the Mazda, no matter how easy it is to pull with it. It's hard to make a case for dismissing the Mini. It's strong and good and fun at everything, but it can't win this. The most fun car of the year cannot be a Mini, no matter how many horsepowers they've squeezed out of its South American engine. So we now have 2 left, the VX220 and the Evo VIII, and one of them has to go. Prepare yourself for a shock. Because it's that one. Oh, it's fabulous, all right, but mixed in with the fun of driving it is the embarrassment of being in it. Put simply, this is just about the least cool car ever made. And so, amazingly, that leaves us with the Vauxhall VX220. But think about it. What more could you possibly want? A smile on your face, the wind in your hair, and you look where you're going out of the side window. It works on the road, it works on the track, it looks good, and at 25 grand, it's astonishingly good value. This is a car we in Britain can be proud of. So, well done, Vauxhall. Apart from one small thing. The VX may be the most fun car to emerge in 2003, but that doesn't mean it's going to win. That is. This is the Carver. Made in Holland, it costs £22,000, which is a lot, especially as you don't even get 4 wheels. The 600cc turbocharged engine from a Japanese K car sits at the back here. Let me show you where. There you go, it's in this black bit here. Now the tricky bit was getting the hydraulics that control the body and the gear linkage and even the heater to connect up even when it's all cranked over like that. Thing is though, there's no doubt about it, it does work. In many ways, it's just like a normal car. You've got a heater and a stereo and a normal steering wheel and a normal gearbox and normal pedals, but it isn't a normal car, is it? Or you wouldn't be able to do this. And you can't do this either. So that you know when you're getting near the edge of the envelope and it won't lean anymore, you have some lights on the dashboard. Green is okay, and then red with a beep. That tells you to go a little bit harder. Look at that! All 3 red lights on, full lean. I'll have my pants in XXXL, please. So let's see if we can sum up this surprise last-minute entry.
Well, let me put it this way. The Vauxhall is the most fun you can have in a car. This is the most fun you could have. Goodbye.